Welcome to Leadership Rewired with Allison Allen, the podcast where we cut through the noise and talk about what leading really takes. No sugarcoating, no jargon, just real conversations, hard-earned insights, and practical wisdom to help you lead through change. Build the cultures that work and stay human while doing it. Let's get into it. Hi, everyone. I'm Allison Allen, and this is Leadership Rewired. Today, I want us to start differently. Before we dive in, take a breath. If you're sitting, feel your feet on the floor. If you're walking, slow down for just a moment. Because this phase isn't like the others. This is not the chaos of disruption. This is not the decision of adoption. This is the quiet power of integration. Integration is the moment the change stops being something you manage and starts being something you are. We've spent this series walking through the 4 phases of change. Status quo, the illusion of safe, disruption, where the ground shifts under your feet, adoption, the moment you take your power back, and now integration, where change becomes identity. Here's the truth. Most people never make it here. They think adoption is the finish line. I made the decision to stay. I'm on board with the change. But adoption is just alignment. Integration is the embodiment of change. You can adopt change on paper, but integration is when it becomes second nature. When you no longer compare everything to the old way. When the new thing finally fits. And once it fits, creation begins. Close your eyes, if you can. Think back to who you were at the start of this change that you were experiencing. The fears, the questions, the uncertainty. Notice who you are now. Not what you've done to get here, who you have become through the process. That shift, the internal one, is what makes integration real. A little while back, my family moved. Same city, new neighborhood, great space, bigger rooms, different energy, but for weeks, it didn't feel like ours. It felt temporary. Boxes were half unpacked, routines were out of rhythm. That soft hum in your mind, are we sure about this? Did we make the right decision? But one Saturday morning, something shifted for the entire family. The smell of pancakes and bacon in the kitchen. Laughter coming from the kids' room. Sunlight coming in through the windows and hitting the walls in a way that they never did in the old place. And I realized in that moment, we weren't comparing anymore. We weren't measuring everything against what we left. This space had become our home. That's integration. The moment when your new reality stops feeling new. We started creating new routines, new memories, new energy. Creation was born from stability. Here's the part that no one talks about. Every integration, and I mean every integration, comes with a shadow. There's grief for what you left behind, even if what you left wasn't working. There's guilt for liking the new way, especially when others haven't caught up. There's fear of losing momentum because stillness suddenly feels unfamiliar. There's discomfort when stability returns because you've been living in chaos for so long. And there's emptiness, a quiet space that opens right up before creation begins. If you don't acknowledge these shadows, you will unconsciously sabotage the stability you've worked so hard to build.
Integration requires truth, not just technique. Let's look at Peloton again. During the pandemic, disruption drove explosive growth for this organization. Adoption came when some customers stayed and others walked away. But for those who stayed, Peloton wasn't the pandemic bike anymore. It became a part of their identity. The rides, the leaderboard, the community, that's integration. And once that identity shift happened, Peloton didn't just survive, they created strength classes, meditation, outdoor runs, not add-ons, but a complete ecosystem. They didn't maintain the change, they created from it. Which brings us here. How does integration actually happen? Repetition, reflection, and reinforcement. Repetition. You cannot integrate what you do not practice. Change becomes a habit through doing, not deciding. Reflection. You cannot evolve what you do not examine. Reflection turns motion into meaning. Reinforcement. You cannot sustain what you do not systematize. Reinforcement is where identity turns into culture. This is how change becomes part of your wiring, not another thing you're trying to remember. Here's what I know after decades of watching leaders navigate change. Most people stop at adoption. They think commitment equals completion. But integration is where the real work begins. It's where you become the leader this change required. It's where your capacity expands. It's where your confidence stops being performance and becomes presence. Integration isn't the end of the change curve. It's the beginning of what's next. Now let's bring it all together. Status quo, the illusion of safe. Disruption, the breaking open. Adoption, the reclaiming. And integration, the becoming. Here's your challenge this week. Personally, I would like you to think about this. Where have you integrated a change so fully it no longer feels like effort? It feels like you. Professionally, I want you to ask your team, a peer, or a teammate, what's the one thing this change makes possible that we couldn't do before? Because change doesn't matter until it's integrated. And once it is, that's when creation begins. Thank you so much for listening and for walking through all 4 phases of change with me. If this resonated, share it with someone navigating their own transformation or change. And remember to subscribe for more leadership perspectives and insights. Until next time, lead with clarity, change with confidence.
Thanks for listening to Leadership Rewired with Allison Allen. If today's episode hit home, share it with a leader who needs it. And if you want more truth talk leadership insights, subscribe wherever you listen, follow me on LinkedIn, and keep leading with clarity even when it's hard. See you next time.